I wonder, it's 2019, right? McDonald's been selling, Burger King, they've been selling 99-cent stuff for years. Food is getting more expensive. Everything's getting more expensive. What the fuck is in that burger that they can sell it for $1? That scares me.
Hey man, no shame in my game. I'm going for it. I don't give a fuck.
You don't care? Okay, well and listen, this is why there's no judgment. That's what scares me away from $1 burger.
Let's get to the thing that you are definitely an expert in, that you need no citizenship test for, the culinary arts. This is something that was very interesting, and it has to do with culinary expertise versus cultural preference. And I'll give you a story here. And I think it was in your season, people are making dishes, and somebody makes a spicy dish. I can't remember what it was. But Gordon tastes it, and he's like, oh, this is too spicy. What are you trying to kill me? And then I'll look in the comments of the video, and like a bunch of like Puerto Rican and Mexican names are commenting, like, dude, that's not spicy at all. I've tried that. Like, dude, he's a bitch. Like, what is, you know? And so my question is, like, where to sort, obviously that's, you know, the level of spicy, that's a cultural thing, but Gordon is supposed to be the master chef. Who's right in that situation? What's going on there? Can you explain that?
Well, what's a Puerto Rican and Mexican name? Like, how do you know they're from Puerto Rico and Mexico?
They had like the flag on their YouTube icon.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, so if I remember correctly, man, I think it was the freaking, it was white pepper. So cultural preference versus culinary expertise. Here's my take on it.
Okay.
One, you like what you like. That's the first thing. I don't give a damn how many stars you got behind your name. You like what you like. And when, in a work environment, there's like one answer is what the chef says. So if he says it's too spicy, it's too fucking spicy, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if I recall correctly, I mean, there was a lot of shit that was probably overspiced on the show. If I recall correctly, it was white pepper. Now, white pepper is a very tricky pepper because it is an immature, it's all the same plant, white, black, and red, all come from the same, plant. But white is, early, if you could, like a green tomato, if you will. And when it's used, it hits you right up front, right? So we use white pepper in the risotto because so you don't have black specks in it. It would dissolve away. But the thing about white pepper is it's not like black pepper that's white. It hits you right on the beginning of your palate. And if you use too much of it, it's just disgusting. And the other thing about Gordon, these were his recipes. He really didn't like, or doesn't, I don't know anymore, but white pepper a whole lot. So the context of that comment, it's too spicy for how the fuck I told you to make this dish. It's too spicy, right? There's one answer. The answer is how the chef wants it. If he says it's too spicy, it's too freaking spicy. They can't taste it on TV, so they can comment all they want, but it's his call.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there truly a master chef? Is there truly a guy who can master every cultural preference and, sort of in that way?
Nah.
Okay.
I mean, when you say every culture, but no, one thing that Gordon does well is, and this is a lot of great chefs, they spend time eating around the world. They spend time eating in other people's homes and other people's kitchens, so they become more well-rounded, and they apply their experiences as a diner to their restaurants. But you'll never become a master of multiple cuisines. I don't believe that. I believe that if you're a master chef, it's more, approach or technique, or, you're excellent at what you do. It's just like music. We're talking about music. You could talk about, the greatest. We're talking about Michael Jackson. You could talk about greatest rapper of all time, right? So Jay-Z is the greatest for me. Some people will say Nas. Some people say Biggie. Jay is not going to be he's not great at Southern rap, or, how they rap in Baltimore, or how even talk in Queens, if you go, stay in New York or West Coast rap, but he's great at what he does. So when you become a master, I think you just niche down to, and you have a lane, and you're an expert at sort of your process and what your, your commitment to the cuisine is. But to apply that to Gordon's I don't think he'd ever, I don't know if anybody could say they're a master of all cuisines. That would be ridiculous to me.
I'm going to interrupt, but there is a master of all cuisines, and That's my grandma, because if she puts something in your face, you're gonna eat it. So.
She just makes you.
Well, grandma excluded. I mean, yes, you're right.
Okay, there you go. So like, I love fast food, but like I have older uncles and stuff like that. They're like, oh, that's terrible. It's the worst food ever. And I guess, I mean, so you're a chef. You have culinary expertise, and so I guess what I'm wondering is, like, do you hate fast food, or are you like sort of in that category? When you talk to Gordon Ramsay, does he hate fast food? Like, how are chefs about, like, that sort of stretch of it?
That's a good question. I don't know about Gordon, what he likes and what he hates. I don't hate fast food. I hate shitty food, right? And not all fast food is shitty. And some of it, a lot of it is shitty, but it's about ingredients. And I'm American, and we are like the kings of the hamburger, and even though that's not like originally American, but the hamburger and the hot dog, neither one of those, right? But we mastered that shit, right? So, and chicken fingers and American pizza, right?
Yeah.
I mean, shitty pizza for $5. So, I don't hate it. I think it won't kill you if you moderately consume it. So I just don't hate it, but I think it's pretty. The best burger. McDonald's started the best fries. They started the best burger. At its like the idea of the burger when it was created, and the idea of the fries, like how they double fry and the salt application, and the crispy like the pomme frite. Like McDonald's mastered the fries and the burger. Now, what it is now, we don't even know if it's like real animal in there, or what those fries taste like. You got like 18 seconds before McDonald's fries taste like paperweights. You know what I mean? So it's just they're not even their shell of their former selves. So fast food is okay. I think as far, I'm a health guy, or I try to be. So one of my principles is you gotta live, like you gotta taste. American cheese is one of the worst things. Cheese Whiz is one of the worst things ever invented, and it should be called American, cheese. But
that's plastic, bro.
It's plastic, but it feels good on your tongue, and these scientists created it because they know what your brain likes. Now it's gonna fuck your insides up, but yeah. I'd be lying if I wouldn't. Somebody said, if an alien came down, what do I need to try? We're going to Five Guys real quick. We're going to Five Guys. Like you gotta, or maybe McDonald's. You gotta.
Dude, I can't go into a Five Guys without feeling like I'm going to slip and fall. Like the condensation or just the evaporation of the peanut oil gets all over the floor, and I don't have very good lower body coordination. I
never had that experience before.
Yeah, no. Well, Five Guys started in Alexandria. That's crazy too.
It did. Shouts to Alexandria.
No, it's everywhere. Okay. What are some of your favorite fast food restaurants?
And I don't really want to. They get enough promo. It's burgers. It depends on what we're talking about. So favorite. So I like Five Guys. I don't know if Shake Shack is fast food. It kind of costs too much to be considered fast food to me. It's like,
oh yeah, Shake Shack. I'm a guy who hates this like generation of overpriced fast food. Like I'm not like I like Five Guys. The taste, like if somebody puts it in front of me, I think it tastes good. I don't think it tastes like $9. Let's see, or however much they charge. I don't like Shake Shack. There's this like yuppie fast food they sort of invented in the last 10, 20 years. It's interesting. Man, I really like Burger King.
Burger King? Oh shit, you a fast food gangster.
I guess. Yeah, no, I have friends because Wendy's sort of has all this marketing, and they try to be like, oh, it's the 4 for $4. Meanwhile, it's like $4 for a burger, and it's still just as bad as every other place. And it's, I don't know. So me and a lot of my friends were very on this like anti-Wendy's thing. We really, really hate Wendy's. If Wendy's makes a We Beefin' mixtape, we're like mad at it, and we're like, oh, this sucks. And we just like Burger King because it's $1 for a burger.
Is Burger King $1 for a burger?
Yeah.
Here's what scares me about all of these $2, $3, $4. Like Shake Shack, is expensive, right? And I only say expensive relatively when you compare it with the dollar. $6, $7, $8, $9, right? And so you can't. If you get the whole joint, you're gonna spend $12 to $15 at Shake Shack, and that is before milkshake. So, but here's the thing about that. I wonder. It's 2019. Right, McDonald's been selling, Burger King, they've been selling 99-cent stuff for years. Food is getting more expensive. Everything's getting more expensive. What the fuck is in that burger that they can sell it for $1. That scares me.
Hey man, no shame in my game. I'm going for it. I don't give a fuck.
You don't care? Okay, well and listen, this is why there's no judgment. That's what scares me away from $1 burger.
Okay, that makes sense. No, it makes sense.
You said dog meat?
Dog meat.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah, be eating that dog meat. What you when the Humane Society?
That is the tastiest dog I've ever fucking had.
Get rid of them animals. Where you think it go?
Oh my god. You like Chipotle?
Yeah, I dig Chipotle a lot.
Yeah, I used to eat a lot of that.
I just had a big ass burrito the other day.
Yeah, no.
Now, one of y'all said Checkers. I'm mad.
Oh wait, Oh yeah, I like Checkers. I used to drive like 45 minutes out of my way for Checkers. Jesus Christ.
Checkers is the sleeper. All right.
Yeah, one time, you know how they have the seasoned fries?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Old Bay fry or whatever the hell. One time I got one of those. I was in Northeast DC, and I went to a Checkers there, and I bit into one of the fries. It tasted like someone's like press-on nail fell off into the fryer. It was just terrible.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but they don't have a bathroom, right?
No. Checkers is drive-through only.
Yeah, I don't really do places where I can't see the bathroom. If I can't, I don't even know. Like, I just need to be able to see how y'all treat the bathroom.
That's true. That's true.
I don't check out every place, but I know y'all don't have one.
New York City has some of the worst restrooms I've ever seen. Like, you have to go downstairs, and then it's like this tiny little, like, dimly lit room, and you can't. And the tile is always this black and white hexagon tile thing. That's like every New York City restroom.
It's cheap, and you can hide bodily fluids on that. They camouflage. You think it was all black 2 years prior.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Damn.
So let's see. Next thing I want to get to, and I have a heroin addict friend who works at Chili's, and he was trying to explain to me that because he goes in between injecting heroin and injecting meth. That's how his routine. And he told me that, I'm like, wait, they just like let you work there? They don't drug test? And he's like, dude, every line cook is like on drugs. They're all on drugs. And I remember, well, this isn't drugs, but I remember every Hell's Kitchen, everybody is a smoker on the thing. And so can you explain, like, why does it seem like all cooks are smokers? Are all cooks really on meth? What's going on with that?
First of all, I'm trying to wrap my mind around your man that's on heroin and meth, and he got a restaurant job. What is he, a line cook?
He's got two. He's in Florida. I'm assuming Florida standards are kind of low.
No, it's par for the course. That's pretty much nationwide, brother.
Okay.
So a lot of people smoke. I feel like smoking is, where was I? I feel like smoking is not what it was years ago. Definitely around here, and some of the so-called cleaner cities, or at least people are hiding it. Like, it's like taboo. Like, you gotta, you go to Portland and you smoke, and they, it's like the shame. It's like the shame walk, like Cersei shame walk.
Yeah.
If you smoke a cigarette in certain cities in America. So there's a couple of things. We do need to clean up the restaurant business or professionalize it. Let me say that. I don't judge anybody, because substance abuse is a real thing, and we need to offer real help to people that want it. Too often in restaurant business, it's normalized, right? I know several cooks, and I've had several cooks, and sometimes you deal with it. Sometimes you fire people, but at the end of the day, it's still a person. Nobody's like wakes up one day as a 4-year-old and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna be fucking addicted to one of the hardest drugs to get off of when I grow older. I'm gonna do that shit at work in the bathroom. Nobody does that. So I think it is rampant. Like, there's no, I know a lot of cooks I knew in my day, cooks that would do lines. I mean, some people need coke to get through a shift. I don't know of any cooks that were on heroin, but I've heard stories. And some restaurants, people just know it. And when you have these functioning addicts, like your friend, I'm guessing if he has 2 jobs, people deal with it because a good cook is hard to find. And people deal with it and they allow it to happen. Some guys do their work they get their work and they go to the bathroom and they're ready for their shift. And I've heard that story several times, so it doesn't surprise me. So yeah, it's just something. It's just here's why you can get a job. One, I don't know, like, I've never been that addicted to any of those substances, so I don't know how it is. But the restaurant business is, and now the unemployment levels are so low, it's hard to retain people and hard to hire people. It's just sometimes like, can you stand up straight? Can you stand in that spot and just do what the fuck I tell you to do? And we have these, that's the low standard. Can you not smoke crack on the line?
Yeah.
If you can just do your dope outside, like when you take the trash out and you can come back in here and pick these fries up, I'm going to look the other way. As long as you don't kill nobody, including yourself, I'm going to look the other way. That's a fucked up industry to be in. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Think about it. Like that's the bar though.
How many of these places drug test?
Oh man, drug test, please. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind in most restaurant owners is cost. You got to pay for the drug test, right? Those drug tests are like $50 a piece, you know. And then what you gonna do? You gonna randomly do that shit? Like, so how many corporations do it? You know, when you get into the big corporate, they don't do it. They threaten to do it, right? So we can't drug test you, and people know that you're not gonna drug test me. They just know it's $50, sometimes $80, depending upon how many panels what drugs you test for. So if the smallest restaurant I've had, you know, we've had like 15 employees. So it's $50. What was that? $750. You know, it's just profit, man. It's just going out the door. So people make these decisions. What I would be more interested in than drug testing is creating a workspace that's safe and allowing people to talk about shit that they're dealing with. You know, because you got to be a great addict for me not to see certain signs. I'm not saying I can spot out certain things, but you got to be a really, really normalized addict for me not to spot certain signs. So I want a healthy workplace to where you feel like you can come talk to me and say, yo, I need some help. I'm addicted to X, Y, and Z. I don't know if I'm going to be able to help you, but at least you don't feel like your job is on the line because you're being human to me. If somebody's working for me that's on heroin and meth, I want to know. This might not be the place for you, but I'm not going to throw you in the street like a dope fiend, like I don't give a fuck about you. I'm going to say, listen, I'm here for you. I see you as a human being, and I'm going to just listen to you. You know, I'll just listen. Tell me what's going on.
Right.
And I don't know if I want to work next to you with some hot grease, but I can't. But too often, why do we not reveal our addictions? Because we don't want to be judged. We nobody wants to be like undressed and seen as a dope fiend, as a crackhead, as an alcoholic. So I think the first step is just seeing people as human beings and allowing them opportunities to say, I'm addicted to this, and then see where we go from there. But far too often we want to do shit. So, but to answer your question, that was a long way around it. It's that kind of industry, man. Can you come? You only have to speak English, you know, which I'm not saying you need to, but you don't need the language. I just need you to stand right here and do what I asked you to do and then show up tomorrow.
Okay.
And if you can do that with drugs in your system, fine. Just smoke as soon as you get off.
Yeah. Restaurant industry, a very accepting industry. That's what we like to hear. The bulk of it, or maybe not the bulk of it, I don't know. Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, so obviously there's the main thing, it's red team, blue team, and you have to cook and you have to bring stuff out. How much of the shortcomings are orchestrated by the producers? Somebody comes in and they mess with something.
So that's a big question, right? That's a long-standing question, and I'm glad you're asking this.
Okay.
Because most people, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Most people, as myself, don't understand reality television. We don't understand TV, but definitely not reality TV. So all shows are different seasons are different depending upon the producers and directors and all that jazz, right? And just the culture of the narrative that they want to tell. So you're in the entertainment business, so that makes sense to you. None of it is staged in the way that I think where that question comes from. None of it is, well, here this is gonna happen, right? It's staged in the sense that they're going to apply pressure because they're giving you $250,000, right? That's one. For Gordon's perspective, I'm going to change somebody's life. But the bigger part of that, it's a TV show. So this is a multi-million-dollar business. A beautifully run restaurant is not good TV. As a matter of fact, it's the most boring TV you've ever seen. If you walk into a Michelin star kitchen, unless you're a food nerd, with just a chef at the pass, it's boring TV. So they have to apply pressure. Now, how might they apply pressure? So in our season, like, we'll prep for a few hours, right? So we come back from a challenge. We do a challenge in the morning. We come back from the challenge, depending upon if you lost or won, and you have to get ready for dinner service. You get ready for dinner service, and and then right before dinner service, say around, if dinner started at 5, say around 4 o'clock, you had to wrap your stuff up, and then you had to go take a break and do some interviews, like, where they see us in a confessional. Oh, well, Rock, tell us about, it seems like there's pressure, or, Brad is not doing such and such, or Brad is killing it. And so you have the interviews, right? And then you refresh and you come back down for service and you have the lineup, because they have to get the set ready. So in the midst of that break, I'm trying not to get in trouble here. Okay. There were times where there's 2 parts about this. So say I prep meat station. When you don't know the station you're working until you come downstairs. So when chef says you're working apps tonight, you might have prepped the meat station. So you have no idea what you're walking into, right? You don't know whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's short. You got to communicate with your team. This is the team. It's tricky because it's TV, but it's also a team sport. So there are times when you come back down and your prep is screwed up. There are times when you come back down and an oven might be off, or all the ovens are off, and you just assuming, or the plancha's off, and you just assuming, oh, it's on. So when you see those, oh my God, the oven's not even on. Some people say, oh, they sabotage us. Maybe. There were a couple times where we switched kitchens too, or, like there was a switch. Oh, no, I know what it was. Prep would come from, like, we would ask, I got 3 Wellingtons left, like an hour into service. And then he would go off. What you all don't see, because it's just editing, they can't show you everything, is that you might not have prepped that station, or somebody might have burnt 6 Wellingtons, so you're running out. You just don't have an unlimited supply. And the girls might, the women, I shouldn't call them girls, the women might have more Wellingtons. Can I borrow? No, you can't borrow from this. It's a competition. You can't borrow from the other kitchen. So, is it staged? Does Gordon know the type of pressure that he's going to apply to the different people? Of course. They do psych tests on you. They know a lot about you. They know a lot about your brain and what your pressure points are before you get on the show. And they learn more. It's all data collection. So if they know, injustice is a big thing to me, right? So when I lost, when we should have won, they knew that was going to push a button for me. They knew that they were trying to, push my button. So they they thought when they took me to the trash, it was going to piss me off. It did. They were right. I just didn't do it at the photo shoot. So they're making a great TV show. So stage in the way that I think there's no cut. Let me say that. I've been on other reality shows where there's a stop. Let's do that again. On Hell's Kitchen, there ain't no let's do that again. Maybe like when you running into, like, okay, ready, set, go. They might say stop. Like, because we need to get people in position. But once the kitchen starts, once the cooking starts, there's no cut. We need to do this again. Let's shoot this. There is none of that. That's the one thing I loved about. I thought it was going to be super reality, like TV Hollywood. Once the cooking starts, I think Chef Ramsay that's what there's no stop. This is a dinner service. This is a challenge. There's no TV involved in this part. So I don't know if that answers your question fully, but do they apply pressure, and do they, do certain things? Of course.
Let me follow up with this, because this part's fascinating to me. Everybody sort of seems clueless at the beginning, and then by the time it gets down to like the last 3 or 4 people, everybody seems like they've learned so much. How many people there are like actually trash at cooking, and then is it none of them? Is it all of them? And like, do you actually become a better chef while you're doing this? Or is it all through editing that they try to make it look like you've learned this world of stuff when really it's just, they're just sort of editing the magic in?
Nah, I think if you make it to Final Four, you're better than what you started. Now it's like 20 people that start. So if they shot the show every single day, that's 16 days, which sometimes they don't eliminate people. That's 16 days. It's a couple weeks. I don't know how they shoot now, but every single day being with the threat of you're going home, being under one of the greatest chefs that's living right now. So if you make it that far, that means that you have adapted. Here's the thing about Gordon Ramsay. He's a Michelin star chef. He knows a bunch, right? Honesty and hustle are more important than your resume and who you worked under.
Absolutely.
So when you see on my season, when you see somebody like Julia, who's a Waffle House cook, when you see a nanny, Bonnie, she's a nanny in Santa Monica, and you see Jen, who's a sous chef and kind of pastry, 3 women make it to the final, right? With me and Josh, who was, Josh was a bum, right? He was out of his league. Good guy in real life. Josh, I love you if you listen. But he just wasn't, he wasn't cut out. But when you see those 3 people, all he cares about, and some people slide through the cracks. All he cares about, do you want it? If you look at the show, do you want it? I just need to know you want it. I can teach you. He would say that to us. I can teach you. You don't need to be like, go to MIT to understand how, a monkfish like roulade with prosciutto works. Just do what the recipe says and communicate properly. So if you've made it to the end, you're a better cook. Now, you might not be ready to run your own restaurant. You might win the show. There's a lot of young people that have won the show. You might not be able to run a business, run a restaurant. You might not be able to run a Michelin star place. Probably not. But that's not what the show is about. It's about, can you take the pressure? So you're a better cook at the end of it, no doubt. You can't. There's no sliding through if you're not.
Okay. So I mean, all right. Let me get a short answer for this. How much better of a cook did just the competition, not the teaching process after, but just the competition, make you?
Like night and day.
Night and day. Okay.
He taught me a new level of not necessarily flavor profile, but technique and hustle. Hustle was the biggest thing.
Okay. Yeah.
I never seen a chef work like him.
Who won season 2?
Homegirl, Heather.
Heather, yeah. I remember I was watching season 2, and she burnt her hand, and she was putting it under the water, and she was still trying to work while the medics were trying to take her out of the kitchen. And I was watching that. I'm like, she's winning. That's episode 2, and then she won. So your point about that is very true. Yeah,
that comes across real. I mean, but that's also editing too. Like if she wouldn't have won, they wouldn't have shown that.
That's true. Too.
But only one. I don't.
Because I'm thinking about like Jordan with the flu when I see stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's flu game level. That's Dave too. I mean, Dave almost damn near died on season 5. I think Dave. He was a gang. He broke his hand. He messed and he came back with a cast and won the show. Like he wouldn't quit. Because that's his. You got to understand the man. He didn't quit on his life. His father was a dope fiend. I'm sorry, his brother was a drug addict, a heroin addict. His father beat his mother. So his frame of reference is, when life hits you in the face, are you going to fight back? Even to him, he would say, "Are you going to fight back?" He'd call you a donkey or tell you something. He want to know, are you going to fight for it? He said, "This is shit," and then. Just because I call you a donkey, you're going to say you're a donkey. Are you going to fight for it? Do you think it tastes good? And you wouldn't necessarily win the argument, but he wants to see if you have to fight. And that, if you got to fight, you got a chance.
Among your castmates, did you ever, for example, there was the Aaron guy. Is that
Chinese cowboy?
To me, there's one of 2 things. Either this guy is doing a put on, or he was one of the guys that submitted a tape, and in interviews he was just like hilarious to the producers, and they threw him in. Which one is the reality?
It's different casting and different objectives. So I don't know. That's TV, right? So I think Aaron, rest in peace, he died. Aaron Song, he died. I don't know. I think if I'm truly honest. I gave him props. I was like, listen, anybody here can beat me. So I think Aaron was, if I'm looking at it and honest, he was just like a funny dude. He was gentle, and you saw like he passed out. He wasn't ready for that. So, I mean, come on, it's TV, man. And he did probably, if you couldn't script an Aaron if you were a casting producer. So that was probably a big win for them. Absolutely.
It reminds me, like, I'll do that on this show where I have to do like a game show with like 3 suitors for a bachelorette or something like that. And I'll have 10 people, and I'm like, okay, I'll ask them the most incriminating questions, and I'm just going to see if they answer. And the guys who answer the most embarrassing shit, they're the guys who make the cut. So
exactly.
That's just the magic of, that's the magic of their budget, where they can get millions of people to select from, and they can find just incredible shit.
It's crazy when you think about the enormity. And one thing I'll tell you real quick is that Gordon says that's why the show works. He said this years ago. They're trying to make a highly rated television show. I'm trying to run one of the best restaurants. Like, my standards, their TV show is bound to clash.
So they always have you in for the little diary interviews that they cut in between the thing. Do you do those at the end of every night? Do you do those like at the end of the week? How often do you do those, and how do they walk you through it? Do they ask you answer in the present tense, post tense, like, or past tense? Like, how do they sort of instruct you through that? Because that's something that's always interested me.
So you do those, let's just see, when you don't do them, you wake up, you do a challenge, and you probably do them after the challenge, right? So if you won or lost, or when you're waiting to see if you won or lost, you do them after lunch, like before dinner service or something like that. Or if you're out on the road on a challenge. So you do them all day. You definitely do them at the end of the night. After dinner service, you do them after dinner service. That's the longest freaking process, because there's like 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 of them. And so when you have 15, 16 people, they call you in when you're ready. And you can't go to sleep. You can't get in the shower until you've done your interview, because it's got to look like you just came out of the kitchen. And they do, so it's in present tense most of the time, but sometimes as the season progresses, they'll say something like, well, they won't say episode 1, but back, a couple days ago, you said such and such. So the editing while it's going on, it's really genius, and it's brilliant the way they do it. And they'll say, do you remember that? You say, yes. Okay, so I need you to talk like it's in present time, and we need to ask you about a certain thing. So they would ask you a question, and you say, and you answer accordingly.
Okay, that's excellent. Yeah, no, that's good for people who do documentary as well. To sort of learn. A lot of people on the creative end of media listen to this. Would it ever annoy you how because obviously you do it and then you go home and then you're going to watch it on TV. Would it ever annoy you how they handled your footage or handled you in screen time? Did you ever feel like they try to make you look stupid or anything like that?
I mean, a couple times, yeah. But here's the thing. I was a fan of the show, and I understood what I was getting into. And it's a TV show. So I don't know if it annoyed me. There was one time where, they made it look like Bonnie had come out of the shower. She came out of the bathroom in her underwear. And the way they cut it, they made it look like I was looking at her ass. She was getting something out of the cabinet. And so I'm watching this with my wife.
Oh, my God.
And she's like, she looks at me like, and we were in front of company. She's like, really? Like, really? This is what you're doing on TV? And I just wasn't. I remember.
It was editing. That's what they all say. Yeah.
Listen.
They tried to get you.
Listen, what? And I wasn't looking. I think they were, a couple guys. So, and her, I wasn't checking for her. Like, who's Bonnie? But that's my homegirl. But I wasn't looking at her ass. So I had to slow it down and show. I had to go frame by frame. Luckily, we had a DVR, right? And show. Because I said, I showed her the whole set. Look at where I'm looking. Here's the bathroom over here. I had to rewind, and I'm looking to the right. But the way they made it look, because, it looked like I was looking. So it wasn't a big deal. It was kind of laughable, but it got me out of trouble. I'm glad I had a DVR.
You sleep on the couch that night?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No,
what kind of DVR was it?
Who cares?
It might have been TiVo. I'm not sure. It was 12 years ago.
Shout out to TiVo for saving this dude.
There you go.
Yeah, no bullshit.
TiVo needs an endorsement. TiVo got a business already? What's going on with that?
It might be gone. I will tell you this. I went back one season. It was the champion season. Like, we not fought, but we competed against the current season. I forget what season it was. And the way they cut it was just, it didn't show me, made me look goofy as shit, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't accurate, right? But here's what astonished me. It was the most hilarious, because I'm sitting around with my family. I didn't have a party or anything. And they were like, what happened? It wasn't true the way they cut it, but it was so funny to me. Stuff like that doesn't matter. I love the show. Like, it was I try to make films myself, or want to. It's the power of television. You get enough footage, you can do what you want. You got to tell the story that you want to tell. So they made me look goofy, and it just wasn't that. At least that's not the way I remember it. But I wasn't mad at them, because that's just what you sign up for. You have no control over that. So the best thing is just be yourself and stop worrying about how they're going to shoot the show. They don't like that. They don't like when you try to contestants. I'll tell you this. We would sit around and talk about editing and, how they going to, they don't like that, because you're here for the competition. And you shouldn't. If I was a producer in that moment, stop talking about I can make all of you look like assholes. I can make you all look like kings. I need 40 minutes of content, and 30 of that is Gordon Ramsay. So I need, you probably get like 80 seconds a show. So I can make you, I'm filming you for 48 hours. I need 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, just compete, man. And I just lost myself in the sauce, you know?
Okay, yeah. So you're doing, this is one thing. Do they lav mic you up? Do they like put the wire on you?
All lav all the time. You take your lav off, you don't say shit. If you take your lav off, do not say anything.
How annoying? How annoying is it to cook like that with that on?
Oh no, they tape it to your jacket. You don't even. I mean, it's a little annoying because you got this belt, this battery pack.
Yeah.
But you get used to it after the second night, and during service they can change batteries. Sometimes you can see like bloopers. They'll tell you like in the middle of service, Rock, go to the storage. And when the first time it happened, the sous chef will come over to you and whisper to you, go to the storage now. And they'll change your batteries right in the middle of it. And sometimes, like, when you get cocky, you say, no, I'm cooking. And they say, you don't get your fucking ass in that storage room, we're going to kick you out of here.
Yeah.
So,
let's see.
Oh, I got a question for that then.
What?
So, like, does all the things that get said by Gordon Ramsay end up on TV?
Oh, of course not. He's the king of clever shit. No, they couldn't. Some of the stuff I think even back then, 12 years ago, was just too inappropriate. You could see some of it.
I'm about to get the hottest scoop if this is true. Has Gordon Ramsay ever said something like really racist and they just had to cut it out?
Never to me. Nah,
okay,
that would have been a different show.
No, I'm just imagining like 20 years later, because now we're way more worried about that stuff than we were like 15 years ago. You know what I mean? In terms of like the mainstream media talking about it, and but no, that, oh my God, no.
He says some bad things, some Gordon Ramsay things, but I've never heard anything racist.
Is it like today's Me Too bad or?
Oh fuck yeah! I mean, I don't understand how. I mean, I guess let me not say yeah. It depends.
Yeah, you all got it.
Yeah. Let's.
It just depends. I mean, the footage is there, so I'm not saying anything like that. Nobody. It depends on your frame of reference. You know what I'm saying? It depends on what you're sensitive to. He says some bad things that are on the record, on TV, that are unedited. You know what I'm saying? So It's not for me to say. It's on for people to say. For other people.
Is he someone who never actually gets truly angry, but he knows how to perform in a way that gets the message across?
Man, that's a good question. That's a question for him, but because I don't know, that's an emotional question, right?
Because I remember Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon was talking about that. Nick Cannon he was on Vlad TV, and he said that he has never gotten angry in his life. The only time he's ever yelled at people was when he was trying to get them to do something.
So Gordon is visibly, he looks angry a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think he's really angry. I think that he's disappointed and frustrated, and now I believe he's playing a role of, he plays it well because it's sort of like Jekyll and Hyde, like he knows how to play it. So I don't know. That's a question of whether he gets really angry. I do know that no matter what he says, he's in control, and he sees and hears. In the mind, he has eyes in the sky and an earpiece. Yeah. But he's not. I've seen chefs in real life lose, and I've lost control, right, when you lose it. But Gordon can like curse people out and then get right back to it and know exactly what's going on. So I don't know I'm not saying that's a good thing because, you feel like shit on the end of, those tongue lashings. But I don't know if he's really angry or if he's playing a role. I don't know.
Like an Andy Kaufman sort of situation.
Exactly. Because I want to say off camera, out of the kitchen, he's a wonderful guy. It's not like he's not a dick. He's not like one of these, Brits that are just like an asshole. He's a very nice guy, very charming and witty guy.
Right.
But on camera, when in that kitchen though, he just expects excellence, and if he doesn't get it,
Did you think you would, like, how confident were you that maybe like week 2, how confident were you that you thought you'd win?
When they emailed me and said, welcome, like you've been selected, I knew I would win.
Okay, that's good. Me too. I'd feel that way too. Years later, so you win. Years later, do you ever sort of competitively keep tabs on your competition, on the other castmates years later? Do you ever do anything like that?
On my season? From my season?
Yeah.
Competitively, no. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Not like, oh, what do you all do? No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I keep,
I'm petty.
Yeah, well, nah, I'm not. Well, I keep tabs because I really like I'll Google some of them and see what they're doing, or if I see, like I know Brad moved out west, but it's because it's such a diverse game. So how do you really, compare? And we're not in the same city, so how do you? Yeah, nah.
Right. No, they the little guy Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie Lang.
I remember. Do you know if he's passed away?
I believe Eddie's alive.
Because when I was researching and looking for, and obviously I ended up interviewing you, but I was looking for just anybody to ask some of these questions, and I found Eddie's Facebook page, and it hadn't been posted in like a few years, and so in like 2014, I'm seeing like daily posts like, hey, back my GoFundMe from a medication. Hey, just lots of those posts is like, oh yeah, I need this life-saving drug, and then like it was post every day, and then it just stopped. And there wasn't posts for like 4 years. So it's sort of scary how the internet could possibly be like showing this guy isn't around anymore. Mm-hmm. And so like that's wild to me that Facebook Google can just sort of, I don't know, give you those tabs, give you those hints. It's like,
yeah, man. I know he was really sick. Well, he had a condition, and I don't know. I think I would have known, or hopefully I would have heard if he died, but.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I might be wrong. He could have just like stopped liking Facebook. I don't
hopefully.
know.
He got smart. Yeah.
Let's see. Do you have the phone numbers of any, I guess, other Hell's Kitchen people?
On my season?
Yeah, either your season or like other winners or anything like that.
Yeah, I keep in touch with. I haven't talked to anybody from my season in a while. I keep in touch with a few. Christina and I keep in touch. Christina Wilson. I live near Elise, the diva chef. We keep we see each other in the city that we live in.
Okay.
So yeah, a few, Scott Leefried, he's not a contestant, but he was sous chef on my season. So we chat a little bit. I send him a message on Facebook every now. I mean on LinkedIn. So yeah, there's a couple. Trying to think who else. Blue Jay. I hollered at him a couple times. He was a runner-up, or did he win? I forget. So yeah, it's Kevin Cottle, my man. He's up in Connecticut, doing well. A few, about 6, okay. Maybe 7. Bobby Marshall, I rap with.
So with winning, it's not so much that, I mean, obviously it's great that you won, but with winning, it's not so much that you got the crown and that's what people will know you for, but you've been on for 11 weeks. So people are seeing you on TV every week for, the whole cycle of the show. How did that change anything for you? Like when you would go out, would people recognize you? Like would people give you free stuff? Like, did anything nice happen like that? Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Our season, the finale was like 10 million people. There was a lot of that. And it still happens, but obviously not at the, right.
I was on my MySpace when my show came up.
Yeah.
So
what was the best thing? Like, what was the best free thing you ever got for like having that spike of celebrity in that time?
It was the best free thing. Yeah. Man, that's money.
He would just give you free money?
I wouldn't say they gave me free money, but yeah, I had to work for it. But let's see. What was the best free thing? I don't remember free things. I mean, maybe a hotel or something, or a flight. Like you go to a restaurant and they're like, oh, it's on the house because you're a famous guy or something like that. I feel like that happens just because I'm a chef. So that happened before. I mean, more people know who I am. So that still happens now. That's not necessarily a fame thing. That's just like a real recognized, real sort of thing in the chef world. How much does that clout of Hell's Kitchen? How much does that help you just in the restaurant business, building your own business, stuff like that? It gets me in a lot of doors a lot faster, I think. It gives me a lot of credibility, depending upon somebody's frame of reference. Sometimes it could work against me, right? Some people hate Gordon Ramsay or they hated me on that season, so they don't want to do business with me because of a snapshot of what they think I am, 12 years ago. So it can cut both ways, but it's been overwhelmingly a blessing. I don't focus on the negative. is overwhelmingly it helps me a tremendous amount. I mean, the biggest thing is like I'm talking to you. I message, line cooks and people from around the world, right? People that say, man, I had this dude where's he from? Greece, I think. It just DM'd me the other day and said he was, he didn't say proud, but he said, congratulations. He had just seen the season. I have people 12 years later say they just saw the season and I was rooting for you, man. I knew you were going to win. This is other countries and in the States. Right. So that's the best thing is the way the show can provide some sort of, even if it's just entertainment. And I was a part of that for a small moment. I'm grateful for that.
Right. So, I mean, getting to the post Hell's Kitchen life, and sort of one thing I was wondering about the restaurant business is what politics can stand in the way of getting to a higher place in the restaurant business, and how do those politics change if you're not like some white guy with a yacht owning dad?
Well, one of the biggest is, the color of your skin and your gender. That can get in the way. So what can you do? There's assimilation, there's selling out, right? There's dropping out. There's all sorts of things. Laziness can get in the way too, or just not being that good. Everything's not just because you want to be a great chef. You can be 7 foot and want to be the next Shaq, but that doesn't make you, just because you want it and you work really hard. Some things are just not for everybody. So, but the biggest barrier are, things that come along with not being white and not being male. There's a lot of barriers to access, like to money, to real estate knowledge, to a lot of these resources that a lot of white people have, or rich white dudes have access to. And so it's like the trends. It's like, okay, here's the people that have access to them. So those are biggest barriers.
Okay. So standard with, I guess, every other industry at this point. Yeah.
Yes. It follows American suit.
So nothing out of the ordinary. Okay.
That's so sad, but yeah.
So masters of any craft, they don't just study the subject at hand. It's not all food. What I want to know is what influences do you have, or what things did you follow or get into that shaped how you work like today, whether it be creatively or ethically? That have nothing to do with food.
Nothing to do with food. My family. I don't know if that's cliche, but that's the truth. We grew up poor. And my grandparents did well, and my mother did a great job, raising 4 kids by herself for the most part. So, the idea of putting my family in a better position tomorrow it really inspires me at a deep level. Artistically speaking, music, man, rap, and that sort of ties into the aspiration of, a better life and using my craft to sort of make it out the hood, so to speak. But movie, but it's, it's like with the Bulls, I just like greatness. So I've trended towards people that I've deemed, strive for excellence. And that really inspires me.
Did you ever see Kobe Bryant's Muse documentary?
Nah, I haven't seen it yet.
That's probably that's like top 5 greatest sports documentaries ever. He talks about, what was it? He talks about Beethoven was a huge influence on him. John Battle was a huge, just people you wouldn't even expect to influence like one of the greatest guys to ever play the game. But right. he has all these examples out of nowhere. And so I always ask everybody that, because like you never know what you're going to hear ever. Like something crazy might come out of the gate, Yeah. But
I think I wouldn't. Yeah, if I thought a little deeper, I could probably give you something a little more catchy. But yeah, there's a lot.
There's always the sequel. Anyway, final thing I want to get to. Most important thing you learned from just interacting with Gordon Ramsay, anything he personally ever told you during the, I guess, sort of the mentoring process of running that restaurant?
So the trash can incident where I went off, right? The lobster bisque.
Yeah.
So he comes to me right before the kitchen, right before service, and he pulls me to the side and he was like, "Yo, man, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, chef." And I don't think this made the show. I said, "I'm sorry, chef. It won't happen again. You know, I was upset, but I'm good now. I'm ready for service." And I was really I was in a zone at that point. Like I was still numb because I was pissed. I mean, not pissed wouldn't even describe it. So he said something to me that really shifted. He said, no, he stopped me one of my apologies. No, Rock. Don't apologize. Use it. Take that energy, all that anger. He said, I could hear you yelling in the front of the restaurant outside because I was screaming in that confessional. He said, I don't give a shit about a challenge. Take all of that energy and that anger and use it to win this competition. And I forget how many people were left, but that was people had told me that all throughout my life. Use that energy. And I really understand the transference of energy. And I didn't understand that. I don't know if I comprehended it fully in that moment, but something transformed because I was still pissed off. And he said, use it. And I cooked my ass off that night. And from then on out, you know, it's just like one of the 4 agreements, not taking things personally, right? So, I still took shit personally after that, but I hadn't quite learned the lesson. But I did use all of that pent-up anger. And so moving forward, I understand when I tell you the story about, Gordon's life with his father and his brother and his mother, I can understand. I don't know him. I'm not going to act like I'm a scholar on him, but I can understand how we all have these things happen to us, and we all have life that happens around us. But what are you going to do with it? There's nothing wrong with being angry. There's nothing wrong with being pissed off or happy and joyful. But what are you going to do with that energy? And if I put all of that into a capsule and I look at Gordon Ramsay, I mean, this dude is up early and he goes to bed late and he has so much energy. And I took that with me back to my restaurant back in D.C. And that really stays with me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with it? So that was probably the biggest because that's a principle I can carry with me.
Okay. Well, that's deep. Let's say.
Yeah, that's the best note to end on.
Oh, yeah, maybe you might know this. This is going to completely destroy that energy. What happened to ESPN Zone in D.C.?
I mean, theme restaurants. It's a good question, restaurant question. But theme restaurants just ain't the way no more, right? What happened to Planet Hollywood? Hard Rock is still there. They probably own that building. But these big imprint restaurants, who's going there? Like, what's the appeal to go pay $10 for a beer, right?
I go there for the soup.
Right? Oh shit, you're a different dude. You go there for the soup, and they don't have dollar burgers. So what's the appeal to go to ESPN? My TV at home is better than anything they can put on the walls. And I can sit on my couch. Right. I can get wasted, right? If I drink, I can get wasted and I have to worry about driving anywhere. I can get wasted for $30.
Exactly. I keep telling my friends this. They never listen.
Well, no. Check this out. You've been to the ESPN Zone in DC, right?
Oh yeah, my homies used to. When I was at Planet Hollywood before it opened, and that was the big draw. Yeah.
Okay, so the room where you can sit on the big recliners, and they just bring out food to you. That's like. I can't, and there's like the giant TV in the middle and then a bunch of little TVs on the side. I can't get that anywhere else anymore. Like,
here's why it probably went out of business. I'm speaking I don't know anything about this restaurant.
Electricity bill.
It was too expensive. Not the electric, just the rent. This is DC, man. Like, you talking about $100 a square foot down there. So that's the Michael Jordan effect. You can't continue to pay that rent because while that is cool and while March Madness is going on, you can make $100,000 a week. While the NFL playoffs, you can make $100,000-$200,000 a week. What about when baseball is in season and it's May? Oh, I'm sorry, when July is in, like 4th of July. You still have that $60,000, $80,000 rent hanging over your head, and you got to pay people. They have 200 people working there. Restaurants go out of business because they can't pay the bills. And why can't ESPN pay the bills? Because nobody wants to go to that. I can watch ESPN on my phone now. When that joint started, you couldn't, you had to have cable. I can watch all of this stuff on my phone and go to my little dive bar. So what's the appeal to pay that? And how can you do it consistently? That's my guess. They just couldn't pay the bills, bro.
Would you happen to know the people who made the chicken tortilla soup at ESPN Zone? Because I've been missing that for a while.
Listen, I got a homegirl who I haven't talked to in a while. One of my former chefs. Her name is Wanda. So Wanda and she used to work there, and Denise, two of the baddest chefs I ever worked for. Like, fuck Gordon Ramsay. They were scary, but they were great. They both worked there. So Wanda and Denise, if you're listening, please email my man and holler at him about the recipe. I'll tell you this. It probably came in a bag from Connecticut, from ESPN's headquarters. So
absolutely.
It probably didn't make anything.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Oh yeah. What the other appeal? You can go down in the basement and play video games if you're like 12. You know what I mean?
I think it's a dope concept, but just you can't.
Oh, Dave and Buster's.
The rent.
Didn't Dave and Buster's completely rip that off? Now that I think about it.
Sort of, but they go for kids and it's video games. Yeah, it's all kids.
Yeah, that's true.
They've been busted. Yeah. They get phone games now. It's not real games.
Oh, yeah.
Anymore.
They got phone games on a big screen. I don't get that. I'm not into that. That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. They're thriving, though. That company's still doing well. And a lot of, like, the best food doesn't even matter. The best service doesn't matter. If you get a rent, think about this. $60,000 a month is $720, $750,000 a year. If I bought the building or if I negotiate a better lease, and I'm paying $5,000 for this building this is where we talk about access, because my dad or my uncle sits on the board of this bank, or my great uncle owns the building, or he really wants to see this concept, or just a buddy network. Forget the race stuff, right? It normally happens with white guys. But if I have a $5,000 rent as opposed to a $60,000 rent, think about what I can do. I can make a lot more mistakes. $60,000 rent, you can't make those mistakes. So this is where access comes into play. This is where negotiating in business sense comes into play. You got to negotiate a better lease so you can stay alive.
Or the similar story with Warren Buffett. He bought Dairy Queen and he runs it at a loss, or like he has the company running at a loss just so he can go there with his grandkids. That's the only reason Dairy Queen is still in business, is because of Warren Buffett.
In the country, really?
Yeah, that's what I was told.
That's gangster right there. That's the
ultimate flex.
Listen, that's old white guy flossing.
No, that's incredible.
On Dairy Queen.
And I really want Dairy Queen to go out of business too.
They need to go. It's like soft serve with, they need to go out of business. It should be illegal, all the chemicals in Dairy Queen.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. Anyway, let's test your improv ability. You have any questions for us?
My improv ability, yes. What's the best fried chicken fast food joint?
None of y'all better not say Churches.
I was Popeyes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, okay. You can. Best, greatest rapper of all time.
Objectively, Jay-Z.
Who's not objectively?
Not object. Oh, dude. Right now, NBA YoungBoy. Oh my God, I love that kid. He's 16 years old and he's just figured out all these deep philosophical thoughts. And everybody thinks he's stupid because he's Southern, but he's smarter than most rappers.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, I like Kodak Black because he dresses like he's on Nickelodeon. That's fucking incredible. I love that shit. I'm not even fucking around. Let's see here. And also, the way he's musically just transformed. He went from just this only hard beats, only hard songs in like 2014, no flocking, and now he samples like Final Fantasy video game music and the pianos, and he does like the late 90s stuff. Like, he does everything. He oh my God, I like him a lot.
Nice.
Do you get mad at the new rap? You know, you're
nah. Okay. No. I mean, there's a moment. I'm an old dude, and I'm passionate about rap for the most part. But people are who they are. People before us were pissed off at gangster rap, and that shit, fueled my childhood. Let me ask you this: you got one rapper, you got one producer. Who's going to produce the album?
Oh, for like the best album of all time?
Well, just if you could pick one producer with any rapper you wanted, you don't have to worry about the rapper. But what producer are you going, like, what producer? Who's the greatest producer?
Oh, just producer.
Ninth Wonder.
You said Ninth Wonder?
Yeah.
Okay, Ninth.
Who's the... Maybe bring Jay Dilla back. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Alive, man.
Alive, okay. Yeah, so we can't say, like, Duke Ellington or anything. Let's see. Who does all of A Boogie's, like, little piano instrumentals? I like those. Let's look that up. I'm looking up right now. The bigger artist. Hold up. Oh yeah, A Boogie, he's great. He's gonna be the next Drake. He's easily gonna be the next Drake. Drake's gonna get too old. No one's gonna be. All the kids are gonna be like, "Oh, dude, you like shut up, grandpa." And then A Boogie, he's like 23. He's young.
No Timberland, no Pharrell, no Kanye.
Oh, Kanye, I guess. Yeah. Damn, I forget about. That's how Kanye's got to be like top 5 people to ever grace hip hop because he could do both. He could produce. I don't get why he doesn't just go back to producing his own albums again. His little style.
I think that's a good question. I think he produced his last joints.
Some he does, some he doesn't. He gets. I mean, he's trying to spread the wealth. I get it. I get why he does it. And also he's bored. He's probably bored produced. But this is a guy who can make 8 loops a day. Like this is still like one of the greatest minds. Like Jesus, oh my God.
Yeah, the shit he does like with sound is unbelievable. I want to see an album. People, it's like restaurants. I'm building, a restaurant, and people just think it's like you show up with a stove and you cook food. Like that's, I'm having conversations about 4 inches on the back wall and what that'll do to the AC unit and where the stove can go as a result. 4 freaking inches. It took 4 hours to figure out how we're gonna shift this. Right? So with an album, it's the same thing. It's just like people think, oh, you just show up in the booth, I got a dope beat, I lay down my tracks and I'm out. We market that shit. I see you in May. No, that's not the way it works. So when you really understand that these guys are yanking out sounds and how tempo, like it's just amazing to me, man.
Who's the guy that went to jail? What do you think about 6ix9ine?
What do you mean? I don't really think about him.
You didn't like his, what was it? I think it was Day 69. Did you hear that album?
I've heard maybe 18 seconds of 6ix9ine in general. And I pray every night. I kneel down. I pray to God. And I say, God, if you do anything, I promise, just give me those 18 seconds back. I promise.
No, 6ix9ine, he has his not. I don't like when 6ix9ine tries to be all like soft. And he has one gear, and that's screaming about killing people. That's all I want to hear 6ix9ine do. He tries to do this love song shit. Not into it. Not feeling it.
Listen, I can tell you this. He got another gear screaming that you ain't heard yet. That he's practicing right now.
Yeah. The feds got him. The feds wrapped him up. Let's see. Chef Rock Harper. Feed the Beltway to proceed the Beltway.
Yes. Feed the Beltway to proceed the Beltway.
Yes. We rhyme here.
Proceed or proceed?
Proceed.
Oh, to proceed. Okay, I can dig it. All right, go ahead. You busting freestyles on me. I wasn't ready. All right.
Fuel to advance.
This has been awesome, man. Thank you.
Really appreciate your time coming on here. I guess we'll see you later.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. This is dope, bro.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. All right. Peace.